You're tuning in to Gone.net.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Gone.net this week, where we will achieve new heights, ascend to new lofty goals, and I don't know, my AI prompt for creating release notes does a better job than I do. So,
what lofty goals do you think you got set, man? That was pretty. I put out this optimistic post.
Oh, okay. With the app.
I put out a nice optimistic post this morning.
I'm staring at the, last version's release notes of Sherpa and just going with the theme.
Okay. So the post I put out this morning was more like, "Hey, everybody's afraid of AI," and I don't think you need to be afraid of AI. We're going to do some fun stuff today that shows where the human still matters, and assuming that AI isn't absorbing all of the bandwidth in the area, because we've had some strange blips in the video today. So we'll see if John or I freezes. It's just, blame AI.
Well, I'm expecting I have an unrelated prompt running on an app for myself, and I'm like half expecting it to be like, "Oh, I closed the browser for you while we're streaming" or something, right?
Well, let's hope that John YOLOs all the time. He lets that thing just run wild. Right. So it could be viruses, could be monitoring. Who knows? I noticed his stream is pretty bad today. You're very pixelated now. So let's see how this goes. At least when the video goes live, it's pretty good. But if you're watching live, it might not be good. So blame John's internet. He lives in the beanies, not me.
Now, does it redo it once it is done?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's cool. It's pretty good at whatever it does. So we just go with it. Nobody's ever complained really, other than, the one complaint that we got was, the one complaint we got was that your screen was too small, John. So I'm happy about that, because John just gets his boots on it. Every time I set up for the stream, he's like, "Dude, your font's too small. Dude, your internet sucks. Dude, your camera's too big."
I'm a manager. I'm really good at telling people what to do. I'm less good at doing it.
He's like a woodpecker, man, on the stump, like. So anyhow, this is quality control, right?
That's right.
Control. Fine.
That's right.
Fine. So today, like I said, we're going to show some cool stuff. It's a wild idea. It's not proven. We're going to get into that in a few minutes.
We haven't even fully thought it through.
Yeah, well, that's what the fun part about these streams is, right? And you get to like turn on your woodpecker and go, "No, I don't like that.
Yeah.
This is shit too." That's
what I'm here for.
Anyhow, I figured the first thing. So I keep showing off this library. It's so close. We'll start with our little show and tell, because I know John's also like nipping at the bud to go and show can I say the name?
Yeah. What?
The runner.
Oh yeah. You want me to show some of that today? I
thought you were going to.
I can, absolutely.
Oh,
it's I'm kind of finally happy with where it's at. So we'll get there.
It's a great project. I love the stuff that John produces, except for the names. My God, if you didn't have me to help you with some of the naming of these projects, it'd be awful. It'd be awful.
We should put a poll out to see how wrong you are about how awesome.
Oh my God. Everybody's going to be like, what is, come on. Give me some credit. I'm pretty good at naming these things.
You go show your thing, and let's critique your name first.
My name? What's wrong with my name?
Like of the whatever you're building.
All right. Well, okay, but it's so the first thing I wanted to show off was I've been working a lot with the speech and text libraries. I know Maui has this built in, but it's kind of just the native platform. Shiny Speech still has that too, but there's a reason that I chose to break out of the mold. Also out of Community Toolkit, I needed to get out of that mold as well and kind of build my own thing for a couple of reasons. One is the platform voices. I don't know if you've heard them, John. They're pretty bad. There is some fun ones if you actually go searching through the library, but more or less it's pretty bad.
they're at least familiar, right? Like,
Right. And the onboard speech to text it's not bad, especially on Apple. It's really not bad. The Android mechanism sucks because it does like this constant silence and start and silence and start. And anyhow, long story short, I've got speech to text and text to speech. And with the abstractions, I also wanted to build stuff. If you haven't heard of 11 Labs, oh my God, it's great. Like the default voice, like listen to this. Listen to this default voice. Hopefully we can hear it.
Hello, I am the Shiny Speech Library. How does this voice sound?
Hopefully you can hear it. Can you hear that, John?
yeah, you can hear the end when you turn it up a bit. It sounds familiar though.
Hello, I am the Shiny Speech Library. How does this voice sound?
So it's not bad.
I think that voice is used I don't know. It's used somewhere that I'm like, this sounds familiar.
Every YouTube video I see like that now, where they're making a meme or something.
It. That's it.
This is the default voice, Adam, the dominant firm voice. So it's in everything because 11 Labs is making magic. So I made this, right? I made this 11 Labs on top of the speech to text so that I could get it in there to use it because the voices are 100 times. Like, look at all these things. Oh my God, man.
Yeah, they have a lot of them.
So there's tons. You can speed it up. You can slow it down. You can make it high pitched, whatever. And then I also had this little thing, and there's a reason. Unfortunately.
Hello, I am the Shiny Speech Library. How does this voice sound?
So I have a VU meter. And the reason is because I wanted to be able to listen to the sound coming out of text to speech to react. Because if you've ever seen apps, so I'm going to show up this other app. Now, unfortunately, I can't demo this, which sucks because the microphone doesn't work. So this is the reason I've been working on speech to text, this AI conversation library, which you can kind of see in my background. I've got the docs up. But I wanted to be able to talk to AI. So I'd say, hey, kiss my butt. And it would say, yeah, sure, no problem. That sounds nice. And I wanted, obviously we're looking, if you're from the 80s, John and I are old. I love Kit. Everybody loved Knight Rider. I mean, God, if you were a kid in that era, you had Knight Rider underwear, did you not?
Oh, like could you could only ever imagine like a point in time where you could like talk to your car and do all this cool stuff.
So this library is actually accomplishing that. So now I can talk to it again. I wish I could show it, but as soon as you try and talk to it,
best because I think the video might get taken down if you played back enough of, I don't know. What voice are you using?
I'm using the platform right now on this one.
Okay, never mind.
So it's trying to listen. It can't hear me, obviously, and it's kind of kiddish. It's not quite fully Kit, but it will respond to the audio levels.
So it's not like it's not like a canned animation that you're using. Like it actually is going to move with the voice. Yes. That's so cool.
It's pretty wild. So I would talk to it. It would go out to AI. Then it'll do its little, text to speech back. Kit will move, which is awesome. And it'll respond. Now, I haven't found a perfect Kit voice, although Adam's pretty close.
I was going to say it didn't sound that far off at first. So
it's not far off. And apparently you can make your own voices in 11 Labs. So there's that. But this is so close. And the coolest part is that I've been working on this constantly. So you can like talk to it. It'll respond. It'll keep the mic open if AI needs a response, like if it asks you a question, because that's pretty important too, right? Like you can't just be a request response with chat. You need to have it flowing. So that was a pretty tough problem to solve. And then the other problem is that sometimes AI is annoying. I don't know if you have a Mrs. A or Alexa.
No, we have the.
So the new version of Mrs. A is absolutely just doesn't shut up. It's so annoying. I actually thinking of throwing it out because it's like she just nags like my ex-wife, man, just blah, 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 right? And you're like, shut up. So I have interrupting words now. So if this thing goes off on a tangent, you can be like quiet and it'll just out of the chat and it'll stop. And that was another hard thing to do because you've got speech coming out and you've got to also listen for these words to cancel itself out and go, oh.
But you got to kind of separate that from actually saying the word while you're using it? Do you do that, or is it just like you detect the stop word and it's done?
No, it'll pick it out because it'll be like, okay, AI is chatting, and you're saying stop.
Okay, so like mid it doing something, it knows.
And I'm
not like
working
you're
on it so
saying,
you
like-
can even interrupt it, right? So if it's talking, I don't have to tell it to shut up. I can be like, oh
You
yeah, just point A, and it'll go, oh, okay, you didn't need to hear all the options, you picked A. So it's funny how many of these things you don't think about until you actually start doing them. And so I thought this library was going to be pretty easy to start, and it's kind of become quite hard. So that's why I love to show this one off.
Got it. Feel free to ask any questions about the Maui AI sample app.
I guess it heard me.
I'll do my best to assist you.
I'm not really sure what it heard there, but there it is. Now, the blips weren't that good, but you did just see them. It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
So that is what I've been working on. I keep showing off this library because I think this one's pretty cool. It's pretty niche. I don't think anybody's done anything like this so far, at least for our ecosystem. So check it out. I'll put it in the links. I've been talking about it. I'll keep talking about it because I keep evolving it, but that's my
Can
cool
you
thing.
have you gotten it to the point where you can blend in like typing with it too? Like where like could you combine text and voice into the same chat? It's all just chat line
There
stuff,
you go.
right?
Look at
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So
you
that
can
kind of
go-
gives you the whole experience in your mobile app and not having you have to create it.
Correct. So all these things are there. You can do the chat. There is a chat feature, like a chat window that I've put in. This is obviously because I've got those Maui controls now. I have a control suite.
Yeah. So
This
now
is
you
the
need
chat.
like the unified view of it all.
Yeah. So right now, all it's heard is the robot respond because I wasn't here. But anyhow,
Well, I guess it is the unified in the sense, but you need that to like pop up when, anyway, a little bit more polished, but the hard work is being done.
well, this is just a sample app, right? So it's not. It's polished maybe on the chat window itself because I know you hate this line. You've nagged at me about this line.
I mean,
See, John.
everything has to be
John sees a little
almost
line and he's
perfect
like,
before
oh
I'm
my
happy.
god, oh my god. So I got to work on that. I am working on it. But anyhow, this is the cool part. This is the library. Like I said, still got some rough edges. I don't know if I'll be able to shave all the rough edges off because some of it's just like the kind of latency between a mobile device and the chat. But this works on all the mobile, like it works on everything that Maui touches. So Mac OS, Linux, does it touch? Maybe not. Maybe Linux. Anyhow, it's the speech library works everywhere, even Blazor. So, we can almost do everything. Almost everything on all platforms where latency shouldn't be an issue. Although, as I say that, we're on a Mac and we've had video issues today. So, all right. I'm giving off to John because I know he's you got to show your runner. I call it the red runner. The red runner. Meet.
So this all started because I want to use my own build agents, right? And the annoying thing right now is like you can set up a GitHub Actions runner like on your own hardware and stuff. That's fine, and you can even set it up on like a GitHub org, right? So that you can use it in all the different repos within a single org. But if you want to do it for your username, you can't do it at that level. Like it has to be, if you have a repo under your private or like your username org, right? You have to set up a different runner for every repository. Like you can't do one for Redth. You can't. So that was annoying. And even if you could do one, like if you start adding more orgs and stuff, it's like, well, do I want like all these instances of these runners that I have to maintain? Like even if it's just a handful, it's still kind of annoying. So I wanted a way to figure out how to do that more automated. And I also wanted a way to do it like between Windows and Linux and Mac. And on Mac, I want to use Tart VMs some of the time. And maybe some of the time I want to run on just bare metal. So I eventually figured out that like the way to do this for GitHub is using webhooks essentially. So GitHub, when you queue a job, when you queue a workflow, it sends a webhook if you have it registered, and it sends it. So I have it sending now to my runner web application. And from there,
because the name is awful.
It's great because it's a runner of runners, right? It's like runner inception. Anyway, you get the webhook, and then that job is still queued because it doesn't have a runner to run on yet. And so my system here then says like, okay, this job maps to, this, like maybe it's Linux in this case, and it needs a Linux container started up based on this image. And it goes and it does all that orchestration for you. It starts up the image. It'll even like add on the GitHub Action Runner service on the container. You don't have to have it like pre-baked into the container. It'll add it after the fact. So you can use whatever containers you want to run on. And then it'll register itself as a temporary or like single use runner with GitHub Actions. And then if you've configured it right, your job wants like these demands, these runs on like labels, your runner registers with it. Oh, now I can go run on this thing that you just started. So, and it looks really nice now too. The way that it basically works is like you go and you add your different hosts. So I've got a Linux host, I've got a Mac Mini, I've got 2 different Windows VMs. One of them is like a Windows just container, like it's Windows core server that just runs Docker on it, but they're like the Windows Docker containers, right? That's very specific because I use that to build my MAUI application for Windows, but it's still just Docker throwaway images. So you go and add all your different hosts, and like if you were going to do this manually, you pick the thing you want. And so like if I want to add another Mac, I'd pick that. I'd go to the install steps, and you could go manually on your Mac, or you could just give it your one-time SSH credentials to that Mac, and it'll just run it for you. And it just runs through the whole setup. It'll wait for it to connect back up, all the stuff, and it just goes. And then you'll see it registered here as an available host to use. And then you can go like configure, the different, I want certain capabilities associated with it maybe, because later on we'll see I might want to select the host it runs on based on those. Like maybe you want to set up a few hosts that run like, company A's jobs that you're working for, you're doing stuff with, whatever. And then you can set up your like resource limits per host level if you want. Should probably change the defaults there. I don't have any Tart VMs on Linux, although I think they might run there too. Like not the Mac ones, but I think Tart itself might. So you set up your hosts, and then the kind of special part of this is eventually you start setting up these provisioning rules. And so if you go to make a new one, you can use like different ways. You can do a static set of images so that you always have like 5 things running. Or you can do a scale set, so it's like a minimum and max, and it goes between that number. But I like to use the webhook one because it's just on demand. It's dynamic. You give it your credential that you set up in the other screen before. You can do capacity and stuff on a global level. We don't have to do the webhook because I actually have the GitHub credential set up as a GitHub app, which is kind of cool. And then you can start saying like, I want to allow my particular owner, maybe I'm good with any repo, and then you can do like this kind of global host routing, but this is like you could say a certain group or certain labels and capabilities, but it's kind of doesn't make the most sense if you're doing a bunch of different target platforms. And then you can go and set up your different stuff here. So let's say I want I have my Linux Docker machine. Actually, I'm going to call it MAUI Linux just because that's kind of the image I'm going to use. And you can see here right away, it's like, okay, if you're going to use this, you're going to declare these labels so that it'll match up to it when it hits this provisioning rule, right? And then you give it the execution shape, which in this case, I'm a Linux host platform. I want to run a Docker container. I don't care. You go figure out the version of GitHub Action Runner to install. The GitHub group kind of shows up in GitHub, but doesn't really matter what you pick. And then I want these all to be throwaway. I want it to run, tear away the image, create a new one when you need the new one. And you can do some more host routing here. So again, if you have like a group of machines that you want to silo this to, I guess, or if you have different capabilities, like maybe you have 2 different Mac hosts and one you want for just one version of Xcode and one you want for another version, or one has a GPU for Linux and one doesn't, that kind of thing. This already shows it's going to run on the one Docker Linux host that I have set up, so that's great. And then you can go specify your images that you're going to use. So I would use the Maui Linux one, and then I can, I'm going to want to use the .NET 10, the workload set that is like, I think I have a 3xx label somewhere.
There you go, 0.3. Oh, there
Right?
it is.
So you can use that. I can pull it to always pull so that when a new one gets published, then it's always going to be the right latest 3.1. Or I can go manually, find the tags from the repo that I connected to here and just select it there. You can set up like environment variable sets so that if you have a bunch you want to share across different targets, you can do that. You can just key your own in here. You can call it a secret so it gets hidden from view and stuff. I have custom steps, so like you can run scripts that are like either before or after the job runs, but like I don't know, my Docker image and my workflow kind of do what I want there. And then you can just have it like attach extra information to the GitHub job so that you can see like what rule picked it up on your system, what host was used, what image was used. And then finally, you can have it allowing you to override the tag. I think I'll add a way that the workflow file could actually tell it like what image do I want to use all up, like what container image maybe. So you configure all these things, right? So I have like the one Linux one, and I could add more targets for, like I could add another macOS one here. And then you start to kind of create that set of rules that figure out where a webhook job is going to actually run as far as like the profile of a host. And then those targets get matched to the host that is available, meets the criteria to run on, et cetera. So when you set it all up, you've got the webhook, stuff starts coming in, you would start seeing like, events come in here. These are all rejected on this repo because I have the webhook, but I've not set it up to run to match anything, right? So it's like, yeah, I don't run that one. The webhook's called, but it's not mine to pick up, and it gets picked up by GitHub because it's a public repo one. Yeah, like all sorts of logging and stuff. You can see what's going on all your things. Oh, I got an error there. I wonder what that's about. Probably figure that out. You can go through all your different container registries that you set up to be able to pull from. Like I said, you can do your own custom steps that are scripts and whatever if you really want. It's great. It's got all the stuff. I can even like go check for updates and update the host runners. So like there is one web server running here that's the central manager, but each host has its own agent running on it to do the orchestration of like actually picking up jobs and running them and downloading container images and stuff, right? So I could update all of these from the web too if I wanted, which is kind of cool. So that's the idea.
And your backend is all based on Orleans too, right?
So it is for all of the server kind of orchestration of it. The actual agent that runs on these endpoints, I went back and forth a lot with AI on it, and I ultimately landed on like, I don't want to have an Orleans silo on every host necessarily. And so just, it's like gRPC, to the thing. And like each host is responsible for its own logs. So like when I go in here and pick up logs from this Linux machine, like those are stored there and they're just getting sent back over from gRPC when I ask for the tail of it, right? But yeah, you can see the Orleans, like some of the grain stuff happening. Like if you go to the dashboard, I can get to the Orleans silo from there too and check that out if I want. But
it's beautiful.
It's great.
When did you become so obsessed with builds?
Because
this is the second big build. Well, no, you've done a whole bunch of build things.
Because I've done Maui containers, right? So like that's the thing. Yeah, and there's some other stuff like that. It's because I build my own app and I don't want to build it on GitHub and pay for all the minutes for it because it's expensive when you build a lot of Mac stuff.
So he uses all the AI to build an expensive orchestration layer.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Source. You can go get it. I've done a lot of revisions recently on it. I think it's maybe at a point where it's stable. Like I had to really tweak how all of these rules and stuff work and try to make sense. It's still maybe a bit confusing, but I think once you dig into it, it kind of makes sense once you get there.
It uses a lot of space for my little Mac Mini. I got to get another SSD in that guy because she needs some space to run. But once it's running, it's good.
Exactly.
Those tart
and then
VMs.
you would see like the runners as they're like none exist here because I don't have like scale sets or anything. But as it would start these up, if I had jobs actually coming in, you would see them start to show up here, and the ones that are active, and you would see I can show like all the job history that ran, like all these rejected. I wonder if I have one that's just normally completed recently. Yeah. Anyway, you get the idea. Yeah, you'd get to see all of the jobs, and then like you'd see the status history of everything that's happening through the webhook calls and everything like that. It's pretty sweet.
What are you storing data on?
It's Postgres.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so it's all on. So like I have a Compose stack set up to run the server and Postgres, and that's it for now. And then I do like the Linux worker itself as a different stack, so I can kind of manage that independently. In reality, the Linux worker is just a single container anyway.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
So
you have to show off one small feature.
Okay.
I don't want to say it's small. I'm not trying to make it small, because it's not.
Right.
It's awesome. But we're
shifting gears.
But we're talking about what this could be next, maybe.
Yeah. So one of this really started with trying to figure out how to manage like certificates and stuff, right? Like I wanted to, I'm going to do this in case I have any identifiers as I think about it. We wanted to be able to like sync all this stuff across machines and things like that.
Which John's been looking at this idea. I think I've heard about that idea for like maybe a year, 2 years. You've been like, I need something to sync it. And then you were like, I like this service and I like this service. And now he's got all of them.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
And so that gets all synced. But then like, so the end result of this is I've got all this stuff set up, but I still have to get it out to like my CI system, right? And so if I want to get my certificates, and like for Pool Math, I've got Android key stores that need to get there. I've got provisioning profiles that need to get there. Like it's all these things that you gotta set up in CI. So that's when I had built
and update every year.
And update every year and like make sure like it's a nightmare. And so that's when I started building this concept of like, okay, what if we could publish that stuff right to CI from this app, right? And the first pass was kind of really simple, and like you would just pick the stuff you would want to publish and it would go there. And then eventually I made the concept of these publishing profiles, and I'm going to edit the existing one because it kind of shows it more easily, I think, in a way.
Is this a testing backup that you've got? Because I'm pretty disappointed that you don't have a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, no,
because mine, I have like 100 apps in this.
I don't have a lot of apps for one, but I'm also really, really good at, I think, knowing where there are points of friction for other developers and then trying to help fix them, and then totally not using them myself.
Well, the good thing is that I use this a lot. Like I've got, I've got a lot of my, like everything is put in here.
Yeah.
So
well, and so the other part of that, I need to take a pass and like go and make this my single source of truth, because I'm not quite there yet. Because like the other thing is there's all these different secrets, right? Like, so this is just a plain old stored on, whatever backend you want to. I use in physical as a locally hosted thing. It could be Azure, it could be Amazon, whatever you use. And so the idea is like combine the secrets with the certificates, provisioning profiles, key stores, all the different bits that you could possibly need to put to your CI secrets, like your GitHub Action secrets. And now the publishing profile is the thing that kind of helps get them there, right? So if we go back again and edit this thing, you create your profile, you add the publisher endpoints that you want to. So like that could be, I have Git T set up locally. I could publish there too, in theory. I don't know how well tested that is, but I have, GitHub, and then you would pick like your repo and whatever from there. And then you get to start picking like, well, what are the things that I actually want to publish as part of this overall profile? So for me, I view the profile as like an app, right? Like it's Pool Math, and I have a bunch of stuff in Pool Math that I put into CI for different platforms. I have Apple, I have Android, I have random stuff for like my, crash reporting, API keys, and all that kind of stuff that aren't necessarily all secrets, they might be like stored in the client and whatever, but I want a central place to store it all as the source of truth. And so this is it. And so you get to go and like, you can add, a configuration, right? So you can pick whatever your Apple identity is that you have the stuff stored in. You can pick the different platforms that you're working with. So if it's Mac Catalyst or whatever, I want to do the App Store, Test Flight, whatever. And then it's going to go through your certificates that you have available that match that. And then it's going to go through, if you had a matching provisioning profile, and that you pick that. So essentially you add all these different kind of configs for Apple, and then it's going to also give you a like set of these key mappings. So what you have them, we have them stored here as might not be what you want them to be set to in CI. Like maybe your workflow uses a different name for this. Whatever you want it to be, you can change that, or you can even, I don't know why you want to do it, but if you had two that you needed to set it both as, go for it. So that's like the Apple config, and then Android is similar. I don't have this one set up here. I can select my key store. I know, right? I'm like the worst.
Same stuff though, more or less. Apple's a little bit easier, right?
Yeah, but there's more values and whatever. Anyway, that gets you those things into your CI, and then you can also choose from, all your different secrets. Do you want, to have that thing added? And it doesn't have to be secrets. Like maybe, I don't know if we need another section that's just like key values. Just use the secrets, it's fine. And then you can shove them in there that way, right? So once you've done all of that, then you can go and actually hit the publish button. I don't know if it goes right away. I'm not going to hit next too far because I don't want to actually screw up my actual system. But you would go, next, and it would go to your repo, your settings, your place of choice, right? And so this gets all of the stuff technically from one place into your CI system, which is a great start.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like I said, I've been using this for everything. You pull it all in, especially if you've so I'm an independent consultant. So I have like a bunch of apps that I have to manage. And so like you get all these certificates, you get all these provisioning profiles. Then you're like, oh my God, I need to figure out, I've made the mistake too, where I've grabbed the wrong file, put it into the wrong person's CI and been like, oh my God. This could be one of those days.
You're figuring it all out.
It's easy. And then you got to have names. You got to know the passwords to them. Right? Yep. Like there's a lot of human stuff in there, and it's difficult. So this is a fantastic, right? This is an absolute godsend.
And we already have a way, and this is, I don't know if this is what made you think of it, but like we have a way to export stuff, right? Yep. Like I can go and export and pick the different things that I want to export from here, including my publishing profiles.
And that's the funny thing, because I got a new machine last week,
right?
And this was one of the first things. I had the backup file there, and I just restored all my published profiles. They all work right out of the box. I didn't have to do anything. You still have to go and download your certificates and your provisioning profiles again. But
I mean, not if you synced them to your cloud backend.
Yeah, but it doesn't automatically pull them in.
Oh, yeah. So like when you go, anyways. Yeah, when you go here, you have to like hit the sync button.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. Okay.
So not really a big deal, right? It's just kind of parcel what you got to do.
Yeah. At least
it's
that's all
we could look at. I mean, at one point I was like, oh my God, this needs like a pull all, like right at the top, because I've got like so many.
I thought it did, but maybe not.
And maybe. Anyhow, so what we've been talking about, one of the there's a couple, sometimes I have stupid ideas, sometimes I have good ones, I don't know. But I was telling John, because one of the things it would be nice, and this happens again, this is probably more with my end of work than it would be with yours, is the ability to take one of those profiles, right? Part and parcel, like we're talking the profile, the certificate. Now there is a catch obviously to that, but it takes all of that, passwords and all. Maybe I don't even release the password, right? It gets all encrypted, packaged up, and I can send it to you. So let's say I want you to have the profile. I want you to be able to build the app, but you don't need to know the passwords, right? And maybe you only need it for dev. Maybe you only need settings for a certain environment. I don't know, right? This is the idea. So, and I realize obviously with provisioning profiles, we've got to build the devices in. There is some catches that we're going to talk about today. But the point is that I should be able to take that, give it to you, you install it on your system, and you're up and running. So Sherpa right now is fantastic. It takes all these little desperate systems, brings them all together, ships them to the one central point of truth. But what if we could take that a step further? Like I said, there's this packaging idea. What if we could even take that a step further? Because one of the biggest things I have, I don't know about you, John, but the CI/CD, building the YAML scripts. I mean, look at Aspire, right? Their motto is don't let friends build YAML. Mm-hmm. And the reason is that how many times have you done a YAML where you're like, nope, this fails. Nope, this fails. Nope. Yeah. And you just keep doing these commit cycles.
It's like you have like 100 commit messages that are like, maybe this time.
Yeah. Right. And you have to wait because then your time slotted and it takes forever. Right. What if we looked at a way? So Aspire does that well. It's not perfect yet.
Yeah.
But what if we could do that with MAUI apps or mobile apps in general? What if we could take one of these packages that we're talking about and say that package, and I want to build it. And one of the other things is too, so I don't know about you, but I have to bounce between DevOps and GitHub and other. Now I love GitHub, but they're not the same anymore. They're so far apart now. And I'm like, crap, how do I do this in DevOps? And DevOps is actually quite far behind now, if you ask me.
Have you like, this has been, I feel like over my career, I've had this like tension of that problem over and over again. And like at one point in Xamarin, I actually took the whole build system and like moved it over at the time to Cake because I'm like, so we were on like Team City, I think. And then we went to Jenkins, and as I was having to move everything, I'm like, well, this is dumb. Why am I having to like code specifically for a build, CI/CD platform? Shouldn't it just be like the slimmest entry point possible for building the stuff we need to build and like abstract out what's running it, right? So I don't know if you've gone to that level of like ever of like, maybe that's what I should do. And then for years, it's like, well, GitHub's great. We do everything there. And I just never really thought much about it. But the conversation almost makes me think again of like, well, maybe it's time to go back and like abstract out of the individual CI platforms. I don't know. Maybe that's too far.
I think it's too far because Cake was great at like, you did a lot of the things. I remember you had all those Cake plugins, right? To build with Apple. And to build with Android and go and get the stuff. But what it still didn't do, or because it still needed the secrets supplied and it still needed the certificates supplied.
Yeah, but most systems were like, that was an environment variable. That was a whatever, right?
Yeah, but then you would go into update it and it was a pain in the ass to update it and it was a pain in the ass to find it. And then Fastlane came along and then that was great. And then it would break and like it's like a constant fight. And then the worst is you still can't test it locally.
Yeah, when I hated having Fastlane. Like Fastlane is great. I'm not hating on it. I don't want like Ruby junk in my repo when I don't need it. And like you still kind of had to code it up, like you had to do it a certain way. And then like I at one point, because when I was thinking of this idea before AI, was the thing that let me start doing it. I was thinking about how I would get Fastlane perfectly set up so that it would do all of the stuff I wanted from this, right? And I kind of got there, but then I think like I wanted to pull values from like in physical, so I started like writing a provider for it, and then I hit like Ruby version issues, and I'm like, okay, I gave up at that point.
You're telling the classic story, right? Like there's always, I mean, every company I go into, they've got some DevOps strategy. It's usually quite complicated.
Yeah.
Right. And if you want to bring new stuff in, it's like you're breaking stuff and it's hard. It's brutal to test. Right. And then a lot of them have multi phases. Right. So like think about the production or the QA or the staging environments. Right. Like they're always breaking something somewhere at some time and you can't test them all the way through.
Yeah.
So something that I was talking to you about this last week was, what if we looked at this as like Sherpa as the utility is great at bundling all of this, right? You have the publish profile. It brings it all together. We've talked about exporting and importing. That's kind of secondary, but it's all part of it because as we're talking through this, if we create a bundle, right? So that's all of our secrets, our certificates, our profiles.
Yeah.
We bundle them into some sort of encrypted thing, right? JSON package with base 64. Who knows, right? We bundle them all into something. And then what we have is and apparently you already had this, I didn't know. You have a Sherpa CLI.
Yep.
So what if we took this bundle? So the bundle builds everything together, true center of the universe, because what you have in the end, it's not being necessarily shipped anywhere. I guess it is, but it's everything in one tightly wound up little thing. So you update one thing, you maybe send a secret password to unlock the thing.
Yep.
But then you tell Sherpa, go into this thing. You're in the source code, right? So our build script is checkout, Sherpa run. And Sherpa will say, okay, what environment and what bundle? And then Sherpa will look in that, decrypt the bundle, pull out all the stuff and run CS, MS
Do everything, right? Install the certificates, install the provisioning profiles.
Everything, right? So
Yeah.
it does everything, which means, so there's a couple things here to unpack. One is Sherpa can already bundle, right? Not to the rate that we need it yet, but we can take all of that.
But it's kind of there. The idea is there.
So we bundle it all into this thing, encrypt it, ship it to the cloud with a password to go to the secrets. And then our build step is literally checkout and bundle. And maybe because we set the environment, maybe we've got all the environment variables in this encrypted package. I don't know.
Exactly.
Right. So
why not?
Because that's
have
one
the
of the
step
things. You're right. One of the things right now is that I started to think about this, and we have to support other cases. It can't just be, here's the one bundle, take it as is, right? We need to figure out, what do mobile apps need when we take this thing and we build it? So the scripts are always complicated. It's like, go and get the provisioning profile, install. I mean, we still might have to do part of this. I don't know. Install .NET SDK. We have to install .NET SDK. But we don't.
No.
Maybe not.
The CLI
could do that.
Could be AOT'd or whatever, or self-contained.
It would have to install it itself then. So we could even have it do that. The point is that we want this. If I take this bundle, I can ship it to Azure, I can ship it to GitHub, Git, any of these platforms.
And it's
the build
really
script
just
is 2 steps.
Yeah, it's a CLI call or tool that you could even put like as a curl bash script that runs it with the right environment secret and go done.
And again, this kind of solves all of the problems. We just brings all these systems together, crunches it down, right? So instead of having to install 10,000 different things to go and do 10,000 different things, it's all one.
There's still some cases that yeah, you're not wrong. We can install all the bits. You still have to tell your build the thing that's installed, right? And so the tool could do a bunch of different things. It could set the environment variables that you have established in that profile, like I said, and you can in that profile you can have it name them whatever you want, and that's what they'll get set to in the build environment. I'm thinking more also from a MAUI and whatever other way you build mobile app perspective. When you run your build, you still need to tell MAUI what's the provisioning profile you want. Although in theory it can match it up, right?
And I think we could probably still cover that, right? That's what
I think so. I'm just trying to think if there's a way to even take it a step farther from a tight for any developer platform framework you use, fine. If you're React Native, if you're Flutter, whatever, I don't care. It should work for that too. But I would like to, if possible, make the MAUI experience, even one level up from that. So I'm trying to think if there's a way we could reasonably do a MAUI build that was also injected if you had our Sherpa build task NuGet, that you'd be able to tell it the profile that got installed, or it would echo that out and it would just pick it up, and then it would know the right things that were installed to use with the right build properties of your app or something,
Yep. So this is just a simple app that I have online.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter too much about what it does.
Very similar to mine.
Yeah, this one is stupid, right? This one's very sequential. It just so we'd still need triggers, right?
Yeah.
Actually, well, we'd still need some of the normal stuff. We need the name, the push, the triggers, all that. Maybe the concurrency, whatever.
Yeah, there's still a lot that
Probably
you'll
don't
have in
need
there.
environment variables.
Not really. Yeah. Maybe some for like other steps, like the Sentry stuff. You're gonna need. I don't know.
Well,
Does it have its own?
Pass that in. We can pass that in.
You can you can pass that in as
So
a
if
a
this is in the
secret.
bundle, so we got to think about this. This could be in the bundle, right?
Yep.
Which means the bundle can go, hey, I see these environment variables. I'm gonna pass them in as properties to the actual build step.
Yep.
So there's that. Because technically, if you're doing Sentry, yes, they do have an action that you can push this stuff through, but they have an excellent MS build step that does it even better. So
Yeah. And I guess the question is like, do they have default environment variables they're looking for and that kind of thing, right?
well, and that's part of the learning here, and that's why we talk this through, right? So
Yeah.
let's say we get rid of this stuff. Like this stuff is all, we don't really need this. We could probably figure out Xcode versioning based on the workflow and like, I know there's some stuff there. We'll get there.
No. Yeah. No, I'm thinking of, do you remember the stupid app project reference thing that I made the other day that you're like, I don't know what this is for. And it's for like, my primary case was for UI tests.
Okay. Yeah.
So wouldn't it be nice if that concept kind of applied here? Like go scroll down. I'm curious. What do you do for like artifacts? Do you store them as part of the build? Yeah. You upload artifacts.
I just upload them and
You upload that. But like, I don't know. Wouldn't it be kind of neat if the app path was a step export that you could easily reference in another step that gave you the actual path instead of you having to like hard code it?
guess. I hadn't thought too much about that, to be perfectly honest.
So I want to work that into this somehow too. That's maybe less a Sherpa specific thing, but maybe that's a Maui CI improvement kind of thing. Sorry. Anyway.
So as we look through this, there's a couple normal, like for me, that this isn't simple build, like very sequential. Do it, go. Like there's not really a lot of steps.
Yep.
I mean, we'd have to kind of back build some of the stuff that we're talking about, but like I said, we could have it figure out possibly the Xcode version. We could have it figure out the workloads and have it do those. So ideally what we're starting with is we need the runs on. We can't deal with that. We need the checkout step because I don't even know why this isn't just implied, but it's apparently not. I guess with the release jobs, you don't need to check out. Okay. So we set up .NET, set up the work. We'd have the setup of .NET. We have to have that as well, right? So we could deal with workloads. We could deal with Xcode. This is another one. I don't know how you deal with this frequently, but like if you're building ASP.NET apps or maybe you don't have a secret provider, right? Because you don't need it. Maybe it's just a single one-off app, whatever the case may be. So you're parsing into app settings JSON, like a file, or you're parsing tokens into a CS file. Cause like Maui doesn't really have like you can't really edit a JSON file and have it take effect, right? So this might be like a token pattern that we probably could build into as well. Because if we're going to be in charge of all the properties and variables, right, in this package, we could take them and push them in ourselves. We could do all that grep work into the app itself. So we'd need that. Profile, you pretty much have all these, right? Like the secrets.
Yeah, that's all like
it's all
functionality
there.
that's in Sherpa, so we can easily do that step.
And that includes this stuff as well, right? So these ones are these three 100% Sherpa can do.
Yeah, the one with the provisioning profiles that's maybe interesting is like those in the published profile are already downloaded, whereas and I do the same thing as you do here in my app, whereas I get them on demand.
Yeah.
So we would just need to figure out like that flow if we want to just always get them on demand, or we just install the one that Sherpa has already.
I think honestly we install the one that Sherpa has bundled.
Yeah, I think the only reason that I've done this on demand is just because it's one less thing to set up as a secret, right? Like,
Yeah.
you already
And-
have the App Store stuff, so
And the funny part is that this is already technically I could probably, oh no, I still need to install it though, right? So I'd still have to do the install of it, which this also does. So
but
Sherpa pushes
Sherpa can
it, but
do the install of it. Like it has the functionality.
What, into CI? Or we're talking
no,
about doing,
into like the machine. So like the
Yeah.
Sherpa CLI could install the provisioning profile.
Right.
So like we can still do that as part of the step.
so
already.
basically my point is that these three things with the
Yeah,
Sherpa
could
bundle, what we're talking about,
away.
these would be gone, right? Xcode we could probably figure out, workloads we can probably figure out, which means it leaves so far this top section minus the environment variables, right? Deployments, we could figure out what that looks like, right? Maybe we have environments that we say, like this one, for instance, if it's the branch's main or it starts with a V, right? Because I do version numbers as branch deployments. Some people do /release, whatever. We could say this is a release branch. So it's gonna go. We wouldn't even need the artifact. I mean, we might want to push the artifact automatically to for the build. We could probably do that, though there'd be some weirdisms with detecting the environment.
I mean, I don't know if you want to get into the territory of that much because like you said, like the deploy part, like everybody does that differently.
Right. But we could do the test flight.
We could do
stuff.
that.
This also becomes
Is
useless.
that, am I using the same? I'm just looking at mine while you're showing yours. I think, yeah, I'm
This is
using
pretty
the same
standard.
one.
This is pretty
It
standard.
is. So,
Everybody uses
but
the
that
Apple
action. So I don't know if you had any issues. I updated that one at one point and it broke because like there's something with AC tool being deprecated and whatever. But there's a newer way to do it. So like, yeah, we could totally build that in as well and make it like the up to date best way.
Basically, we're stopping all of the stuff we need, right? We're stopping all these steps because this is a pain in the ass to test. Like it's a huge pain in the ass to test. And it takes forever because like workloads, yes, there's things you can do with cache steps, but you know, sometimes that has issues, right? There's so many things that just take forever.
Yeah.
So again, if we bundle this, we can have that bundle as a local file, run the Sherpa utility, and it could test it right there. Like it could test almost everything. In fact, you could even do a manual. I'm not going to say this because you know the friends don't let friends right click deploy. You could potentially do it right there if you wanted to.
You would be horrified at how many people still use some of the like built-in Visual Studio deploy
But
extensions.
you know what? I don't blame them though, because CI breaks all the time. And some of these environments are so complicated. It's like, dude, you're supposed to make automation is pretty straightforward. It should just be bing, 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 bing out.
One thing that I learned recently only is so for that setup.net action, the way it was originally intended to be used, I'm told by somebody internally, is that you don't specify anything under there. You don't specify a .NET version. You don't specify workloads. Sorry, you might specify workloads now. Maybe not even. You put all of what you want in your global JSON file.
Yes.
And you run the setup action, but it picks up what you want from your global JSON.
And then they went and practically deprecated that file. Practically.
It's still good. It's still good.
But you have to force it to use global JSON, and it still doesn't even really work. Yeah, you do. You have to tell it won't use it. 100% it doesn't use it. There's a variable, I think. Let's see if it picks it up. Oh, it won't because I'm not in the
I think it's still
you have to tell it to use,
because the global.json you can like pin your workload set version and stuff now and all of that fun stuff.
But
that setup action does install, like you've updated and you've got the workloads as part of it,
yes,
now, which is nice.
So let's putting all that aside, right? So this is the Android version. Again, more or less the same thing. We need that. We need probably a setup step. This goes away. This goes away. This goes away. Uploading artifact goes away. And then again, now I've got this commented out because this never works.
I don't. Maybe.
We're talking it through. Maybe at the end of this, we produce the IPA and then the user can figure it out, or we can build that into and say, if you want us to do it, we can do it.
Yeah,
right?
I think there's like the way that I tend to approach making this kind of thing. For better or worse, I always kind of like to think of it in layers. Like I hate building something that's so opinionated that I'm leaving on the table the possibility of somebody using it for a slightly different use case. So the way I look at this would be like all the secret stuff, all the first few things that you're like, these are gone, like like the
This stuff.
not the build yet, but the configure from secrets, the right key store, the generate build number, the install.
Don't worry about this.
Provisioning
This is me being
profile.
stupid.
Yeah. Sorry. The iOS one was, I think, the one that I was, picturing
this
when
one.
I said that. So all of those ones, yep, absolutely. I think those are gone because those are like mobile generic, right? Every mobile developer is going to have to do that.
And
Because we've talked about Sherpa being not, yes, there's MAUI specific things in there that are helpful, but it's not like you could go use that tool no matter what you do. Like
technically,
if you're doing mobile, then go for it. So I would maybe make one. I'd do this a couple of different ways. One layer would be like, that's what you use to do all of the secrets, all of the key stores, all of the provisioning profiles, all that kind of junk that comes out of Sherpa as a bundle. The building of your MAUI app with that information, either as a separate step or another step that encapsulates that and the previous one, is kind of how I would think of doing it.
So totally makes sense. We could add that as a separate section. So what I thought
I like the idea though, because you can pass then some of the values that we know about from that bundle right into the MAUI build itself, so that you don't even have to think about it. Like I like that.
So I think one of the things that I wanted to do here, and there is going to be problems with this because we need parallelism, like all the things that we're going to think about. But what I wanted to do today was maybe start framing out a little bit. And I realize we're running short on time.
Yeah.
But we start building out, because this is what people miss right now with all the AI fear. Like you don't need to code anymore. Well, maybe not. That's true. You don't, but you still need to understand it.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anybody says. I don't think we're going to be generating, like I know Elon Musk is like, let's go generate binaries. Somebody still, like, if we ever have an outage, somebody's got to be able to work on it, right? AI goes down freaking daily. Like, I don't know if you're a Claude user right now. One, it's getting a lot more expensive. And two, it's out a lot, like a lot. It was out this morning for about 3 or 4 minutes. Who knows how many times it's good. Point is that somebody needs to read the code. You need to be doing justice. You can't just let AI go wild. You need to understand what's there, because it's still part of the job. It just doesn't mean you have to write it. However, the thing that AI won't do is it won't invent this stuff, right? So the reason I build a lot of libraries right now is because you still have to spend a lot of time on that. And AI is not going to get faster at doing it. It's just, it's got to do those things, and then you've got to check them. You got better things to do. So this is why libraries and inventing better process is still part of the job, still building things. So when we talk about these packages today, AI wasn't going to ever figure this out. It doesn't know the problem. And even if you told it the problem, it might come up with something.
Yeah, it would.
But it'll go and look in
early.
like 10 different places and wrap its tentacles into everything, and you end up with a mess.
Well, and it might work for like the surface you need, but it's not going to be great.
Right.
It's going to fall apart. And I found that like actually with the runner thing, I've reworked a lot of that several times, because I start like, oh yeah, AI is doing this. And then I'm like, wait, this doesn't quite feel right. It doesn't fit right. It's not the right, layers of architecture. And so I've had to steer it a bunch, and I'm finally happy with where it's at. But it didn't figure that out on its own.
So what I'm starting to do is this is what John and I are going to do is I don't have the answers. I proposed this the other night, and John, because he's so big on builds right now, he jumped at this. He thought this was a pretty cool idea. I think there's going to be a lot of challenges with it, which is why AI can talk you through some of this, but I don't think it really is going to do a good job. I think this is now where the humans get involved and say, this is what we want. And you'll notice I'm building JSON, right? I'm building a raw JSON file. We know we're going to need to encrypt this, but for now, what is the structure of this thing going to look like that we're going to package up and give to Sherpa, right? So we might have, we know the end result is something like this, Sherpa CLI.exe, but my project.bundle.sherpa bundle or whatever we call it.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe an environment, production. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
This is very much
question.
like, that was very much like, this is kind of what Aspire does in a way. And the goal is that, okay, so now we've got this thing. Do we need environments? Probably. Do we need we might need variables, right? We might need variables at, I guess this would be something like this, right? So hello world. See where I'm going with this? So this might be our build variables. What am I doing wrong here? What is it not like?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's pissed off about this, isn't it? I broke JSON. Funny, figured it out. Okay, so we've got the start of this, but variables, we might need some variables specific to Android.
Mm-hmm.
We might need some variables, or maybe even overrides, right? Maybe we're overriding the global variables.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
We need, what do we need for Android? We need we're going to make this base64, right? So we need the key store, and we'll say this is base64 encoded. Oh, look at that. See, AI is starting to catch on.
Yep.
What do we need? We need the key store. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. And you might even want a set of those, right? Like, is there ever, I guess you don't probably.
So I'm going to get there. I think what we want to do is, before we start branching this out, because environments is part of this, right? We need to support environments. So in variables, there might be global ones even to that. And then there might be global kind of settings here. And then you override as you go down, right? Similar to like the app JSON flow, right? So you have app settings JSON, which is the top level, and then debug replaces there. So it may be the same idea.
Yeah.
So we have our variables, we have our key store. So this is hello Android, hello world. And oh my God, AI is really on to us. Here we have, what do we have? Look at this. Look at this, John. This is figuring it out.
I know.
It's crazy, right? So it knows what we're trying to do. It knows what we're thinking about now. Certificate password. Okay. Did I miss anything? Get the profile. If we're looking to deploy, let's talk about that.
You need app store connect stuff, and
and that's why maybe make this a step, because maybe this isn't.
That might be
we have. What do we need here? We need the.
Or you've scope it as different levels at that, for the platform, right? Like So this is where you get into, like, you shouldn't probably put that as a global environment variable because Android doesn't need it. So why have it there for an Android build?
Which part are you talking about?
The App Store Connect stuff. Like, I'm trying to get out of like nesting too deeply into like deploy as its own thing, because you already have environments. But
true. No, you're not wrong.
Or are you trying to limit scope to different steps of the job?
If we talk about environments, let's break this. Yeah, I know you're going to freak out about this a little bit, but really, if we want this bundle to be all inclusive, right, we're going to have something like this, environment. So let's call this production.
Yep.
And that's this, right? So what have I missed here? What's it pissed off about? I'm missing a squiggly somewhere. Where am I missing the squiggly? I'm not missing one, you dumbass.
Does it not like your array, your top level array?
Oh yeah, that's why. Good catch. The problem is I still need a key, right? So I want this to be key value. So I'm not going to do an array. Maybe what I'm going to do is like this. It's not going to be an array at all. It's going to be named. So that way you can't have production twice.
Yep.
So then we have development, same idea. Now, this is the thing that I think I'm thinking about is we might have version. This would probably be top level, right? No matter which one we go into, we're going to choose one. Maybe this is passed in.
Do you need version? Like, what's the version doing
We
here
need
for
to
you?
we need to build it somehow, right? We need to get it into. Are we going to solve versioning? Do we
No,
want to solve version?
no,
Do we do?
not yet.
Then we have to do this, right?
Well, no, but let's start without. We're not
Let's
building
start
the
with
app
that.
yet.
No, fair enough. Okay, so I'm going to reduce that. We want the environment variables because we have to have it. We have top level variables because we need them. Oh, this has to be.
You might have stuff shared between both, both Android and both iOS and whatever
Right.
else.
So let's back this out. Right. So to give a real sense of what this is, I think the best is like base URI, right? Base URL.
Yeah.
My app. There.
Sure. Yeah.
So then we've got Android, we've got iOS, other platforms. We could get into Mac, we could get into web,
Yeah.
whatever. For now, we're just going to start with the two we know, right? Let's deal with Windows. Nobody cares about Windows. We'll deal with those later. So we've got provisioning profile, we've got certificate, certificate password. We've got all the key store here. We've got build variables that could either override or be custom to Android, right? Like maybe push. Oh, that's a good one. You can put, I know a lot of people like to use the Firebase file, but you can do this with like that, right? So maybe this is only going to be an Android. And then for iOS, what kind of stuff do we do in iOS that's custom? I don't know. Let's leave it out for now.
Yeah.
Point made is that this is why we might want to. So we overwrote hello world with hello Android world, hello iOS world. We put in a custom Firebase key for Android. So that's all covered.
I'm deciding if the key store and if provisioning profile and certificate, if those are all like, is there ever a case for that one app in that particular environment that you would have multiple?
Well, like multiple,
Like should those three key store properties be in a object in an array that is key stores?
I can't. You mean so this would be global across all of the
Not global.
environments?
You would under Android you would create a new property called key stores, and the value of it would be an array of objects of those three properties, so that you could have 1 to however many key stores that we would install for that particular app.
But you'd only ever have one for an app.
Well, that's what I'm trying to I think through is if there's any, I don't know. I always, whenever I like hard code things like this, I always question it enough. I'm like, is that flexible enough?
And that's the cool
is.
thing about this, right? This is, I mean, AI will debate this with you a little bit, but it's not, it's so busy telling you, yes, sir. And that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's not poking holes.
Usually it's gonna tend to tell you the thing that you asked if it was okay.
Right. So that's why this is still very much a human-based thing. And we're going through this and going, do we need that flexibility or is that stupid? Do we need this variable up here or is that stupid? Do we need variables across environments? Possibly. We need one that goes across builds, right? So we have variables that goes across all of the builds within that environment. Do we need global variables?
I mean,
we need a project file.
It wouldn't hurt, I guess. Well, you don't need project file yet
because we're not building. That's right. I'm getting ahead.
And truly, Sherpa doesn't know about your project file.
True, but we might want it to, right? The whole point is to build this at the end.
Okay. Yeah.
So we've got everything we need to do the standard stuff. Like we've got all the standard configuration. We know we've got to push these build variables in. We're not worried about that. I think we've covered it now that we could go a little deeper. Maybe not to deploy, so that's further ahead, but maybe now we are at the build step, right? We know we're going to need development, and that might, I don't know that this is common, but maybe,
I think it can be like, even like if you think of like maybe Sentry is a bad example, but I know there's some times where it's like you've had like one API key for Android and a different one for iOS, even though it's like the same product, service, whatever. And you don't.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep talking.
Yeah. So
Just
yeah,
thinking
so
out
you're
loud.
going to put like a, Sentry, API key or whatever, and then you can override it.
Right.
Yeah, you might want your Sentry set up that way. I use the same DSN for both my platforms, but maybe
So
maybe
do I.
shouldn't.
But when it and some people, I don't know why, but some use different Sentry DSNs for
Yep.
release, right?
And you might even
production.
have like Sentry configuration values that you want to set globally, and then maybe on Android you want to tweak it. Like maybe you want the tracing or something different on one. Like I could see doing that and putting it in my build variables so that it's easy to control in one single source of truth, like we've said.
Yeah.
So yeah,
True.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, so we've got that. Am I missing any? So right now we've covered the 3 areas that we were talking about, right? Getting the key store in,
Yep.
getting the variables in. We're going to get the variables in. We're going to key token something, right? We know we need to get them in because these are the secrets coming in from Sherpa.
Will
That's
we
what we're
know what kind of provisioning profile it is when do we need to know that?
Both Sherpa could deal with that, right? So the
Yeah,
Sherpa
no,
could
I'm just
go-
trying to think if it can for like the case of ad hoc versus app store or whatever. It should. Yeah.
Sherpa will deal with that bundling, right?
Yep,
So Sherpa
yep.
could catch that up front and we validate. I mean, I don't know. That's part
Yeah.
of it. Because that's the reason we're talking about this too, is because with Sherpa, you created an excellent tool to bundle this, right? Now we're talking about let's take it a step further. You've already made the thing that does all of the magic. What if we can take that magic and move it over to CI now?
Right.
So you've got that amazing wizard that puts it all together, and now we just have to take it and have the CLI rip it back apart and do whatever it's going to do. So I think we've covered the points that we were talking about with. Let's pull that up. And by the way, how are we doing for time? I think we're over.
Pretty over.
So we could we can come back to this next week. We've got a good start. Maybe we won't do show and tell because this is obviously going to be a long debate, and it's things. This is things too that I'd love to see the community get involved and say, yeah, you guys are missing this because it's not a one size fits all. And like John says,
that's why I hesitate to deal with like versioning or anything because I know I already do it differently than you're thinking here for my stuff.
But the thing is we can also pass that in. We can because we want to do a build, right? The goal is
we do want to do a build eventually, but I think the way that I want to start is no build, and then build becomes either a separate command or almost think of it like .NET build that implicitly does a .NET NuGet restore first, right?
Okay. So then
like
this would be involved in
build,
getting environment variables in.
Yeah.
So on its own, let's say we weren't running a build, right?
Yep.
Your idea here is that we take these, we install the certs, the
Yep.
variables, we figure out, okay, this is an iOS build, so this is where it gets difficult. We set this as a global environment variable for iOS. This is the one that wins.
As part of the environment, when you install this, you will want to also have to pass in the platform because we need to pick Android versus iOS somehow at build time or at workflow time, right?
So platform, Android, iOS, Windows, etc.
And it's just by name of how you have it in the file, and maybe Sherpa helps create a nice bundle with predictable values for those names.
So platform, obviously the bundling would be a little bit more set, I guess, but environment could be open, right? You could basically put in anything. You could put in like production 1, 2, 3.
I think platform could too, but like when Sherpa's exporting this, like it's gonna put it in a name that makes sense or whatever, unless we let you customize the name. But I don't know why you would care.
So because I'm ultimately getting down to build too. Like I'm fighting for build. So is there anything here that you think we're missing?
I don't.
Or do you think this is a good start?
Well, We'll have to make some choices, but I don't think it's a bundle choice of like, where like you install what to which keychain and junk like that on macOS, but that's not a bundle problem. That's a, how are you doing this on your CI configuration problem. So I think we're okay. Cause like if you're reusing, like I would run on my Mac Mini, like a bare metal runner, and therefore I had to like override what keychain I wanted to use so it didn't mess up everything else when it ran subsequent times and stuff like that. But that's not a configure. That's not the first phase problem. That's maybe the part of the build.
Well, I think we've got a good start. We've got a good start. We covered. So if I go back here, this is what I wanted to leave at, right? So we know we're going to be able to tokenize those some way. We don't know how yet. And this can tokenize anything, right? Because we're going to go looking for, this is the token type. This could be a JSON file, CS file, a Swift file, doesn't matter, right? So we know that we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
We know we can download the provisioning profile or install it. Not a problem. We know we can install the certificates. That's not a problem. Now, so we've got all those three things mostly set up. We need to deal with this guy next week. Maybe some workloads because we have to get into builds next week if we're going to do builds, or we can look at deploys because deploys doesn't also have to be builds, right? It's an after.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to leave that inner file is next up is deployments. And then after that is builds and versioning. So I think that's a great start. We've got a good bundle. I'm going to try and find a place. Maybe we can put a wiki or something on to propose this on Sherpa. Or I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah. We could start. I don't know if I have discussions enabled there. We could do it there, or we can just start an issue and
that works too.
Yeah, whatever you want.
All right, I'll post this today. But I actually think this could be pretty awesome. Like honestly, you take the bundle, you shove it up, you can test it locally. You can do the good old right-click deploy, right? If you wanted to, and taking this and putting it on DevOps or putting it on. I mean, the publish profile already made that pretty easy. Like I could take the secrets and shove it on Azure or GitHub, and you've done that already. So, I mean, that's already pretty easy, but it's still a pain in the ass to try and figure out.
I think the one thing that I don't know if it's missing from this because I don't know if this is the way that we should do it, but like the profiles currently have the concept of what target environment variable name do you want that set as, right? So like, if you think of this, what we have now, it can install the certificate, but maybe key store is a better example. It's going to install your key store. Well, there's not like key store doesn't really have a predefined location like a provisioning profile does on Mac, right? So like, where's that file? Is it a file? Is it just, in the environment variable as a base 64 encoded thing? Maybe that's it. But like, then how do you figure out how to consume that in your workflow is kind of the next part of it when we start getting into the build and deploy. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if I think that belongs here necessarily because I'd like to try and infer it for the steps that use it rather than necessarily like make the user choose like where it should go, if that makes sense. Like when I build a MAUI app, I want the MAUI app, like if we do Sherpa build, and it targets a MAUI project and we're doing Android, I want it to pass that to MAUI somehow and for it to just connect itself up and know to use it.
So I think that's part of what we'll have to figure out then.
Yeah.
Right? Is build part of this or not? I think if build's part of it, that answers the question.
Well, I think, I don't know if it does. I think I have some ideas that I'd like to let percolate a bit.
All right. Well, let's end on here. We know we've got
we're first. We're good.
We know what we've got, what we're working on. We know what we're more or less aiming for. John's looking for the abstract to get it all. And
Gotta keep it useful.
we'll see. Well, can also just, it is called .NET MAUI Sherpa, or is it called .NET Sherpa? What is .NET MAUI Sherpa? MAUI Sherpa, John. MAUI Sherpa. Anyhow, it's a great start. We'll come back next week. We'll talk more about this. I have a feeling that a lot of people in the community will have thoughts about this. Like, we're going to put this in an issue. I think that's probably the best place, is put it in an
it'll
issue and
get
file it.
seen maybe as good as anywhere else then.
And then tell us, do you think we're crazy? I don't know. I thought this was a pretty crazy idea to
I think
start.
it's a good idea. I think it's good.
And we can go from there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was fun.
Awesome. Thank you,
Remember,
everyone.
Humans matter.
That's right. See us humans next time on Gone.net.
Ciao for now.